listening to the Charlie Vann Here podcast, brought to you by Wide Range Appeal.
Charlie Vann here at Steam Theory Brewing Company in Dallas, Texas. I am joined by voice actor Jim Foronda. Jim, thank you very much for taking your time here today with me. And you're going to enjoy some of the appetizers here, are the chips and salsa. What do you think so far?
It's good. The salsa is, I was not prepared for the kick of the salsa. It's good. It's good, yeah.
Well, I know we were talking off camera about, allergies and that, so that probably might have cleared you up a little bit.
A little bit. It's weird. Salsa will actually make me a little stuffy.
Really?
Wasabi will actually clear me out. Horseradish and wasabi, that clears me out pretty well. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about some of the techniques in that as a voice actor. For what we don't see, we were also kind of talking about is how you prepare your voice. I know you happen to do a lot of yelling, or there's things you like to sometimes. Yeah. But do you like to avoid certain things?
You put the script in front of me. If it says I gotta yell, then there'll be yelling involved. If you don't want to yell, don't audition for video games, because there's a good chance you're going to be doing some yelling. Same thing with anime. It's like if you don't like to yell, there's just certain work that you should probably avoid trying out for. I'm sure if an actor might get to a point where they can go, you know what, I'm not going to do yelling anymore because I'm just that fancy pants. But I am not that actor. I actually like yelling. I like fun. I like action. It's I play a lot of villains, so there's a lot of yelling. But I've played some good guys too, and they also do a lot of yelling, because in games, the good guy, the player, they will die. So you have to die a lot, because if you die a lot in the game, you're going to hear those same deaths over and over and over again, and the developers don't want you to hear the same death sound, because that's going to get old, especially if you're not good at the game, and then it'll just frustrate you because I don't want to hear that again. So we do a lot of deaths.
Now, before I get into talk about Borderlands 3 and Claptrap, when you're signed on to play a character, do you have an idea already, the voice that you would like to do? Especially if it's like a creature, a robot. I know you've played a variety from human to Claptrap.
Well, oh gosh. Well, when you get an audition side, there's usually maybe a picture if you're lucky, and a character description. And then there's your dialogue that you have to read. That is maybe 5-6 lines of dialogue and some descriptions of what's happening in that scene. And you have to come up with the character voice yourself. And sometimes if the description is vague enough, it could be different types of voices, different styles of voices. So it's it could be anything, and you just have to hope that you've got something that the decision makers, whether it's the writers or the producer or a creative director for a TV commercial or whatever, you want to hope that the sound that you created fits what they had in mind, or sometimes they might not know exactly what they want yet as well, and so they're hoping for the actors to come up with voices for them. Such as the case of, say, Battleborn, the Gearbox game that came out before Borderlands. They didn't know if they wanted the game to be serious or funny. And so they cast 2 characters. They cast actor Caitlin Glass as the archer Thorn, and she was very serious, very dramatic. Her people had been wiped out, her planet had been destroyed, not happy. I was cast as clone soldier Oscar Mike, who basically was kind of programmed with a super brotacular voice, and but it turns out, being a clone, he wasn't supposed to live that long. So as a character, he's starting to develop his own personality over the brotacular, the programming, as I like to call it. And so the creative team on that game, because this is very early on, this is a good 2.5 years before the game came out, they listened to both of the characters and they thought, serious, fun, and they ended up going with fun. But what's great is that with Caitlin's character, they kept her dead serious throughout the entire game, and she was this great character to play off of, because goofy stuff is happening and she's just dead serious the entire time, and it was just amazing. Yeah.
But
was fun though, because there are some emotional parts in that game as well. It's fun, fun with feeling, you know. And that was a great thing to work on. It wasn't the commercial success that we had all hoped.
Yeah.
It was a great game that just got kind of crushed by a much more popular game that came out a week later, Overwatch, and which is a good game. It's a good game. They're different games.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to compare the two. I used to say that's like saying Gran Turismo is Mario Kart because they're both driving games, but they're different. So anyway, I digress. I ramble a lot. I'm sorry.
Well, no. It's kind of like when, anytime Star Wars comes out in the month of December, and then everything else around it.
Yeah.
Even as entertaining as that film may be, it's not easy just because that's such a giant.
So, I mean, that all sparked from the question, do you already have a voice in mind? And sometimes there's multiple, and then sometimes you know what the creators want you to sound like. Sometimes they don't know, and they're looking to you to supply, ideas. And if that's the case, you just hope that the voice that you came up with, they like more than everybody else's. So, I've got a lot of colleagues and they're friends, and it's like if they get a part that I was going out for, it's like, you know what? Great. Yeah. I'm glad, because you always like to see friends succeed. So I never understood people getting angry about somebody else getting a part that they got. I mean, that's part of this business. It's like you can't get bent out of shape all the time. You don't land something. I mean, you just didn't get it. Prepare for the next thing. Audition for that. You might get the next one. It's like it's just the way it is. So,
well, speaking of voices and characters, I want to get into Borderlands, but before actually Claptrap, I want to throw out a couple of characters that you voiced, and if they were actually real people here today, what do you think they would be doing? Dirk Smallwood, do you think he'd be having a hunting YouTube series right now? He's such a unique character.
He would already be dead.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, that was just one of the echoes in Zombie Island.
Yeah.
Dirk would have been dead a long time ago from his overconfidence. Yeah.
Harry.
Also dead. You don't hide in a garbage can from zombies. You'd also be dead. Yeah. And he was dangerously close to Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I mean, that was the whole point. It was a spoof. There's a line where he refers to his skag as Scoog, and that was actually cut. I'm sure that there was probably somebody that thought, that's too close, and we'll just cut that. Yeah. So
what about Hank?
Hank, still a wear skag, but still wearing a macaroni hat his daughter made for him. Oh gosh, he would be if he was an actual person, he would be working very hard to support his family and to help build a better life for them. Again, it's kind of funny because these characters had just such tiny bits in the DLC, but with the little bit of story that was there and the voice that you create for them, you can kind of picture who these people were. And it's fun, like creating characters like that, even if they're in there for just a split second. And it was kind of fun because in that DLC, you forgot Jethro Shed.
Yes,
yeah. Also dead.
Yeah,
eaten by his friend Steve. Which it's kind of funny that DLC was considered not canon in the Borderlands timeline simply because it was so out there, and because Steve gets eaten and turns into a zombie, and you can't do that to Steve.
Yeah.
So,
are there any characters that you've portrayed that you're walking in the store and that voice just pops up? Do you take any of the characters with you, like in the day-to-day?
More recently, a lot of the characters that I voice, even the villains, have some of me in them. And some sort of like Muscular in My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Okay, he is a villain, a bully with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, none. So he does have this kind of philosophy that if you say you're going to be a hero, then you be a hero. You do your best at it. And you know what? If you get killed by a villain, you just weren't good enough. But it's like in his weird, twisted way, he has no patience for people saying they're going to do something and then not being able to do it, or not even he considers that like not trying hard enough in a weird way. So, in a sort of strange way, there's, I think that if you're going to do something, then you really should do your best at it. That's the core belief. I mean, it's, don't half-ass anything. I mean, if you really want to do something, really try for it. But then, you kind of take that thought behind it. Okay, I can see where he's coming from in that way. I don't want to kill people, but so I kind of took that thought, and then I just combined that with a 7th grade bully that was one of the worst people I'd ever known. Who knows? That guy, maybe he's a nice guy now. I don't know. But yeah, all those characters have some of me in them.
Yeah.
And sometimes, in a weird way, the voices come up sometimes just for fun. Usually it's around like friends who are familiar with the characters. If I'm playing online, a game online with friends, like Borderlands 3. Fun comes up. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Talking with them in character, they get a kick out of it. So.
Well, that now segues to the beloved Claptrap. I mean, such a popular character. Just talk about that emotion when they're like, you're going to be this character, you're going to be Claptrap, when you got that call.
That was exhilarating, and the exhilaration was kind of nuts, because it was about a 7-month long audition process, and I didn't know why, but when you get an audition like that through, then you think, I'm going to do my absolute best at it, and I auditioned for it, didn't hear back for a few months, and I thought, I totally didn't get that. Well, good for whoever gets it. And then I heard back, some revisions, some redirection, auditioned again, and then I didn't hear back, and then I got a text message from a friend who works at Gearbox, one of the writers that I work with a ton on Battleborn, and he says, we played your audition for the Powers That Be, and he just said, we played your audition for, didn't send anything back. I'm like, you're like, okay, you can't do and he, I could just see him just like on his phone going tee hee, then he said, I landed it, and I was ecstatic. It was just because it's like somebody asking you to be the next Mickey Mouse or the next Batman or something like that. It was an honor to be asked to be, because it's like, here's our baby. Yeah. We want you to take care of him now. And it's just, it's super humbling and super honoring at the same time. And it's just, anyway, it was amazing. And then it got kind of terrifying, because, people might not have liked it. There were people who didn't like it. There are some people who still, say terrible things about me, and it kind of sucks. But it's, but there have been people who have been super supportive and really have liked it. And I went to a convention in Detroit, Michigan, 2 weeks ago, and meeting people in person, complete strangers who I do not know, who really liked Claptrap in Borderlands 3. They liked the performance, and they were fans of Claptrap in Borderlands before, and they thought to them, I was a good torchbearer. I was a good person to fill the wheel and carry on with that. And when you see somebody's like genuine reaction to enjoying the work you did, it is more fulfilling and soul easing. And I mean, it's for every 11 billion comments that say you're terrible online, if one person is smiling at you and they're happy with the work that you've done and you've made them happy, it kind of balances out. It's I still can't wrap my head around it. It's still crazy. I remember when the distressed Claptrap Borderlands 3 Funko Pop came out. I've never had a Funko Pop. Borderlands never got Funko Pop characters. The anime characters I voice, they haven't got any Funko Pops. I have a Funko Pop now, and I got it. I pre-ordered it at my local GameStop. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get one of those. And I came in and I got it. I'm like, my boy. He's my adopted son, and I've got to love him the same way that fans love him. He's just I'm going to take care of him for as long as they will let me.
Now, we don't get to see you physically in the studio recording, but is there a hint of method acting, would you say, as far as getting into that character at all? Like, just to really...
Method acting is where you're occupying the character the entire time.
Yeah.
And if I did that, my wife would divorce me. You get in the I get in the headspace of the character as defining something that is common in life, if possible. It's again, I was socially awkward, growing up, and sometimes, I'd say something that I thought was like, oh, this is friendly, or this is I'm trying to say something funny, and it would fall over like a dead bird. It just I don't even know if that's a colloquialism, but it's not. I'm not anyway. But it's that need for people. Claptrap needs people, and just to put that kind of that longing to not be alone into his character. There are storylines that I will not talk about because some people might not have played it, but it's just he's lonely. Those memories of being lonely as a kid, I put that into him. It's and it's kind of it's not really method, but I did notice though that whenever I'm in the booth, you have to stay on the mic. You can't move your head around. So I have a tendency to plant my feet on the ground. And I notice that I usually take a stance or have body motions of what the character's doing or feeling or acting. And if somebody's kind of laid back or their body kind of takes on that position. But I noticed that for Claptrap, he only has a wheel. And I noticed that I have a tendency to basically shake my ass back and forth in the booth, because when Claptrap moves, he's like, "Hey, let me tell you something," and my butt moves a lot when I'm voicing Claptrap.
Well, finally, Jim, first of all, I want to thank you again for taking your time with me. Any shout-outs, anyone you want to say thank you to, or anything right now?
Oh gosh, shout-outs to. I wasn't prepared to do shout-outs. Hi to everybody on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Jim Foronda, if you want to follow me on Twitter. I talk and chat a lot with people there because it's just, I don't know, it's fun. I try to keep things positive. I don't like being negative about stuff because
we need more of that.
That's what I try to do.
Come down here and enjoy some salsa. That's the
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed our conversation. Share this episode if you really enjoyed what you heard. Keep on listening. More episodes to come. This has been the Charlie Vann Here podcast.